It is dated 18 June 2018.
Yes, I see that.
And you'll see this plan was approved by then National Commissioner Sithole.
Yes, I see that.
And that looks like his signature, or is his signature. And you'll see that this note was compiled by Brigadier Khumalo.
Yes, above.
That's right at the bottom. And it's verified by Lieutenant General N.S. Mkhwanazi.
Yes, I see that.
So they played quite a prominent role in that, and the information note. When did you first have sight of this note? Or is this the first time that you have sight of this note? Or when we made it available to your lawyers, and it's also referenced in the. Sorry, maybe I should have just confirmed this with you also. We did make available to you and your lawyers the Mkhwanazi statement with the annexures that was before Madlanga, and the Masemola statement and annexures. Yeah. So you would have seen that. So this note, when was the first time you saw this note?
To see this note?
Yeah, that I've just referred you to.
No, I've just seen it.
So you hadn't seen it before?
This very one?
Yeah,
no.
Yes, the one that I've just made reference to. The one that was approved by the National Commissioner on the 18th of June 2018.
Not in this particular form, and not as a bundle, but just in parts of it, not strictly compiled like this. But I'm aware of the content of this. I've become aware of it before.
And
before I got this one.
Did you see it, or were you made aware of it as part of your orientation as the newly appointed minister?
Yes, as I indicated before, that as I familiarized myself, or got to familiarize myself with issues, I came across many documents on various aspects of subs, either distributed or I got them elsewhere, or brought to my attention elsewhere. So I've been aware of this, but not as compiled the way it is compiled, so, but different aspects thereof.
So this information note is very helpful in terms of giving us background why this team was established. You'll see that on page 1.
Yes.
And you'll see in the first paragraph under background that it was established by the President in May 2018. The Interministerial Committee consisting of Ministries of State Security, Justice and Correctional Services and Police. The committee is chaired by the Minister of Police and is tasked with ensuring that the perpetrators of these crimes are brought to book. The IMC met with the task team investigating these cases on 21 May 2018, and one of the preliminary observations was that this multidisciplinary task team was working in silos, and it does not have an investigation and prosecutorial plan or strategy that is aligned to overall government priorities contained in the National Development Plan of 2030, the medium-term strategic framework, the MTSF, and other key policy prescripts, i.e. creating safe and secure environment. Then the then acting provincial commissioner led the process of developing the strategy, which was tabled, and at the meeting of the IMC, the strategy and its implementation plan were provisionally approved by the National Commissioner. Then they deal with the current situation on page 2, on page 3, the operational approach and concepts. And then in paragraph 4, on page 4, composition of the operational teams. You'll see there it's quite senior, brigadiers and colonels. They're all senior positions, Minister. The cost at paragraph 5. So this plan is it will commence on the 1st of July 2018 to the 31st of December 2018. So that certainly appears to accord with your understanding. If this is a task team that's appointed for a limited period, and this was in terms of this particular plan, and the cost of deployment of 139 personnel over 6 months is estimated at just under 50 million rand. And the breakdown is provided for on page 5. Then under monitoring and evaluation on page 7, this is spelling out how they will work. And then at the bottom, or towards the bottom of page 7, you see that, Minister?
Yes.
Under recommendations, the implementation plans, plan for the strategy to investigate and prosecute perpetrators of political related cases to be approved, the project to be approved and funded from the national budget on the estimated total amount of 49,138,808 rand to be managed at Provincial Office KwaZulu-Natal. And it's signed off by Lieutenant General, Acting Provincial Commissioner, KwaZulu-Natal, N.S. Mkhwanazi. You see that on the 18th of June. And it is on the following page, you'll also see that it's signed off also by then Deputy National Commissioner of Policing at the time, S.F. Masemola, who's the current National Commissioner, on the 18th of June. And he makes the following comment: cost center, costing different to other national ops, understood that the provincial, ops vehicle budget, something. But anyway, he doesn't disapprove. He supports the recommendation. It's also supported by one of the other deputy national commissioners of crime detection at the time. That's Lieutenant General Shumane, T-S-U-M-A-N-E. It is also approved by the then national head of the Hawks, Directorate for Priority Crime Investigation, Lieutenant General Labia, on the 18th of June, and also by one of the other Deputy National Commissioners, Asset and Legal Management, FN Vuma, Lieutenant General, on the 18th of June, and then finally signed off on the 18th of June by the then National Commissioner, General Sitoli. So my first question was, when did you first see this note? And I think your answer was, you must correct me if I'm wrong, was now when I've read it to you. But you somehow heard it in different forms or formats during this time when you were oriented as minister.
Yes, I'm saying I did come across this information before.
But you didn't see it in this particular format. This note that you've seen in front of you now.
Yeah, I'm saying I have come across this information before, but not necessarily compiled like this, but I've come across this particular note before.
So, now from this note, and this is for your comment, it appears to be a case that this was a political initiative made by the president. In his capacity as the president of the country, is addressing or trying to address an issue of grave concern to him and to all of us, that these political killings in KZN is unacceptable, is out of control, and needs to be addressed. And he forms this interministerial task team. But now this political initiative has to be implemented. So
yes.
it's given some meat. And what happens is that there's a presentation by Lieutenant General Mkhwanazi, and it's spearheaded. The project leader is Khumalo, and they make a presentation which is approved, and it must now be implemented and it must be operationalized, if you don't mind that language. And it's budgeted for from the national budget. And it's approved by the head of legal and asset at the, so the task team is put into full operation. Now, who has the control and management of the task team? Is it the interministerial committee, or is it the national commissioner? Because this task team is now going to report to Mkhwanazi and Khumalo, and ultimately the national commissioner. What is your understanding?
Now, the first understanding that I've had or developed throughout as I familiarized myself with this is that this is what the president envisaged when he made the decision to intervene in the situation in KZN, establish a mechanism, but he himself establishes an interministerial task team. Go and work, but this is what I want to see, so that we combat the problem. Then they go and have a discussion, and they give themselves tasks. And the key things is to establish structures. They establish a structure, two structures below them, managerial, the other one much more operational on the ground, and they do that. So it is multi-tier as it happened. So when you ask me who composed, it's all the people that were seen to be relevant, starting with ministers, relevant ministers, and then the next tier, relevant people and departments, and the province. Hence, you see General Mkhwanazi signing all of that, because it's in KwaZulu-Natal. He's provincial commissioner. He lays the platform. He avails the platform where this mechanism will operate, and he needs to support, he needs to be active. And you would see that when you run the other units on illegal mining, for instance, when it happens in Northwest, you go there, the central person there would be the provincial commissioner, even though there are people above him, as is happening, because it's under this poll and so on. So you go there, all of you, but the person who provide the platforms, the provincial commissioner, and is involved. And so even though it's not a provincial kind of an instrument or structure, but because it is in that province, it gets recognized, he gets encouraged to play a role, a conducive role, an enabling role, so that all other players are able to move. And when they move out, they are able to say, we leave a person who's providing a platform actively, and in this instance is General Mkhwanazi. And it works like that. And they therefore established it like this.
But Minister, didn't it work like this according to this plan? There was the initiative from the president, the formation of the establishment of the interministerial committee. Importantly, because you don't want to operate in silos anymore. You want to have a coordinated approach. So justice is involved, and the NPA is made available to assist, appoint a prosecutor dedicated to this task. So all of them are dedicated from various, whether it's from the State Security Agency to provide intelligence, defense to provide some or other assistance. All of them are there. That's why they form this team. But the team that now is established by Mkhwanazi, led by Khumalo, they must now begin to operate. Surely they operate in accordance with the instructions of either Mkhwanazi, Khumalo, or the National Commissioner, who at the time was Sithole. They don't operate according to the instructions of the Interministerial Committee. Well, how do you understand it? Because this is signed off, it's approved, the funding is approved. Or let me start with this question or proposition, that do you accept that this task team that was established certainly for this period from 1 July 2018 to 31 December 2018 conforms to the law? It's a lawfully established task team.
Yes.
In fact, approved by the Interministerial Committee.
Yes.
Of which the Minister of Police is
and functioning under their direction.
Let us understand that, because that seems to be your case, isn't it? We're going to get there when we debate the directive. Here we have a plan that's been set out, how it's going to be monitored and evaluated and implemented. But on the ground and how they operate, those instructions are given, as I mentioned, according to this plan by Mkhwanazi or Khumalo or by the National Commissioner, surely not by any of the ministers. Do you accept that?
No, look, Chair, when the president intervenes, as he did at that time, he thereafter, once he had directed, as part of his directive, the group of ministers to develop a mechanism, there's no way you can divorce him and say he can now go to London and have a holiday. That was not the case. he had expectations that things would roll out the way he had envisaged. So he becomes and stays part of it, but not operational. But that is his intervention. Then he leaves the interministerial task team. Then they work. Now he's not part of them. He's not minister. He's not with them. He's sitting in his office doing other things. They come and bring reports, but they are working there. Now, you're not going to say they are separate from his command to a point where he has nothing to do with that. Now, what do the interministerial do? They discuss, how do we roll out the mechanism as instructed by the president? They then say the best way of doing this, get prosecution, get skills in terms of detectives, get people from outside. They discuss actively. Once they agree.
In fact, Minister, just to interpose, in fairness,
Yes.
to you, the presentation that was initially made by the then acting provincial commissioner of KZN, that did have the effect of persuading the interministerial committee that approach at the time was not the right approach, and it wasn't producing the desired results. So they were instrumental in saying no, and this new multidisciplinary approach should. That's fair comment, I think.
Yes. So once the interministerial committee